Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is Carson Rouse, and welcome back to Business Buzz, where we focus on business, entrepreneurship, and investing. Today, I'm going to be talking about the certain thing that has been all over the news these last few days and weeks. That's right, you've seen it all over the news and all over social media. I'm sure you've seen recommended videos about this topic on YouTube, even if you're not interested in stocks. We're talking about GameStop, yep, the obsolete video game retail store chain that is just blowing up because of its stock price. This video is just going to be a simple explanation of why it's happening. So if you already have a pretty good idea of what's going on here, then you really don't need to watch this. But at the end, I will be giving my own opinion on the matter. Before we get into this video though, make sure you go down and give it a like for me. If you're watching this video, there's a good chance that you've never seen my content before because I make videos about stocks and you might not know anything about stocks if this is your first time getting into it. So be sure to go down, give this video a like, and maybe consider subscribing. So Wall Street, they get a bad reputation. And for good reason. Many of the large hedge funds located down in Wall Street, well, they're kind of known for manipulating the markets a bit and screwing everyday investors like you and I out of money, whereas they run off with all the profits. Now, of course, manipulating the stock market is illegal, but it is done more than you might think nonetheless. I like to think of it as Wall Street being a government tyranny, right? Like North Korea, just corrupt, led by evil dictators, whereas you and I, the retail, regular, everyday investors, are citizens of that country. And as you know, the government and the people with all the power, the people with all the control, over the course of history have been known to screw over the peasants like you and I. That is, of course, until there is an uprising to throw over that government. And that is sort of what's metaphorically been taking place over these last few weeks with GameStop. You see, a few of these large hedge funds started loading up on shorting GameStop and other obsolete companies. As you probably already know or might not, shorting a company, long story short, is basically betting that a stock will lose its value and the price per share will decrease. But of course, if you short a stock and the price doesn't go down, or if it goes up, you can end up losing a lot of money, especially if there is mass manipulation at hand, aka the entire public right now, and creating this gigantic short squeeze, which is screwing these hedge funds. If the hedge funds were to give up and sell their shorts right now, they would be out a ton of money. So you might be thinking, how did all these people all across America agree to just, spike the price of GameStop and screw these hedge funds? Well, it all started on a subreddit known as Wall Street Bets. I had heard of this subreddit before. It's actually very popular. It's basically a place where investors, aka gamblers, go on and brag about their insane stock gains and the risky picks that they're having that week. And it's basically a glorified casino because they're just doing all these random options that have enormous payouts but a very little chance of paying out. Lately though, it went from a braggadocious subreddit to the stomping grounds for a stock market revolution to put the money back into the people's pocket, the everyday Americans. In just a few weeks, GameStop shares actually went up 1,900%. They have dropped a little since then, but if you would have bought the stock at the right time just a few weeks ago and sold it at its peak, that's a 1,900% gain. In fact, one of the Redditors on the subreddit claims to have turned $50,000 worth of GameStop call options into nearly $50 million. Despite all of this, these hedge funds are remaining strong on maintaining these short positions so they don't take insane losses. But if these hedge funds do eventually give up and let the people win, then that means that GameStop's prices are only going to rise more and more because they won't have that shorting keeping them down, and it could really explode from there. But because there has been so much market manipulation surrounding GameStop, you currently cannot even buy any shares of GameStop right now. Now, you might call me cynical, but I'm just being a realist here. eventually GameStop will have a massive drop off and people will be selling their shares. Of course, that is one man's opinion. Do not make any investments based off my opinions, but I'm just being honest. Eventually, GameStop will crash. The question is just when. Will this go on for another year? Probably not, but eventually it will crash. There's already been a slight drop off in the price per share of GameStop, but that might be due to the temporary cutting off all purchase of GameStop shares. But honestly, the way I see it, there are so many new and uninformed investors buying into this stock that as soon as they see that GameStop's dipping, they're going to be like, oh my God, I got to get out of this right now. I got to sell. I don't want to lose any more money. And that's just going to create a trickle effect. And again, you put a bunch of new investors into one stock, it's bound to crash and crash fast. I'm going to be honest, I even purchased a few put options just for fun. And you wouldn't believe it, but the odds are actually very high that it's going to crash. So I'm not outlandish in saying this, but the rewards for buying put options right now on GameStop, unless you go like a week in advance, they're not very high because it's actually very likely that it's going to crash, unfortunately. As much as we might have disdain for these large corporations, they get all the money, all the billionaires, they do win a lot. And us retail investors, we lose a lot to them. And I think if we look at history, that's what's going to happen here. Eventually, Wall Street will win. It's just the way of the world. And I think that's how it's going to go. A lot of you might disagree with me, though. I mean, this is a powerful revolution we're dealing with. Now, don't get me wrong. I can see this stock rising to even greater values. The power of the internet should not be taken for granted. I could see this stock going over $1,000 a share. But in the long term, or even the medium term, give it a few months, and I think the stock price will be very, very low. That's just my prediction. So check back here in a few months and let me know if my prediction is right. I'll be honest though, there's something truly unfortunate about this whole situation. The worst thing about this entire situation, it's something I haven't even mentioned yet, and it's something that so few people are really talking about. It's the fact that all of these young people who have no real exposure to the stock market, who have no idea how it works, and this is their first real experience with it because, it's all over TikTok, it's all over all the social medias. Now they're going to start investing some of their money. They're getting the wrong idea about the great tool of building wealth, which is the stock market. You see, the stock market doesn't really work well when it's used as a casino, right? It's very hard to get rich from the stock market with speculation picks, and very few day traders are ever successful in building real wealth. And that's exactly what these young people are going to view it as now, and they're never going to understand. Well, they might someday, but at least for right now, they don't understand the powerful long-term wealth building tool that it can be used for. You see, the old Warren Buffett philosophy of researching and finding undervalued companies that can build you long-term wealth while paying dividends isn't being taught right now. What's being taught right now are big YouTubers saying, oh my God, you guys should buy this stock because screw Wall Street. But unfortunately, people are going to have a stained view of the stock market now and think, oh, that's how you get rich from the stock market. You just risk it all on one obsolete company to say screw you to Wall Street. And again, I'm not disagreeing with this whole thing. I kind of love it, actually. But for new investors who this is their first time getting interested in the market, it's kind of a shame. It really is. But that's just my opinion on the matter. If you hate my opinion, you are welcome to give me a thumbs down. I understand. But if you respect my opinion, give it a like. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.